Yesterday, I asked you, nope, that's just, nope. A couple weeks back, I asked Twitter, and therefore apparently the entirety of the world, dream Batman casting, no restrictions, pick literally anyone. This entire piece was 100% written with me staring at the ceiling, contemplating and forming some rudimentary thoughts about the topic while unshakable insomnia governs my post-hospital life and metaphysical crisis. Gives you a lot of time to think. Glass half full, yeah? Batman, he's a boy, I guess. But one more caveat, straddle hedge word mouth noise. DC is obviously allowed to do whatever they want. You are allowed to think whatever you want, and I have some thoughts about some things. So if you would be so kind, please allow me a minute or two of your time. Batman first appeared in the pages of Detective Comics number 27, which may lead to you asking, who the hell was in the first 26 issues? One main character was Ching Lung, a character based on a movement, sorry, I got this, called Yellow Peril. That's not great.
Gross American history, but did you know?
Buckle up. In 1882 in America, there was a law called the Chinese Exclusion Act that put a 10-year moratorium on all Chinese immigration labor. Yeah, this is a real thing. Signed into law by Chester A. Arthur, I spun you down this rabbit hole to say, this is a complex topic. There are American laws on the books that literally have the country of origin of a specific people with the word exclusion in the title of the law. When people say racism is systemic, it can be helpful, instead of instinctively shouting, "Nuh-uh!" to understand some prime examples of governments literally making systems to enact racism. And that intro was simply to explain that a lot of the terms I'm going to use are real and have happened. So let's all be cool. Because I wanted to push us all off balance for a moment. All of that was just about the comic Batman premiered in, and I haven't even talked about Batman yet. These are terms of specificity for actual things at the level I need to describe them, so everyone grab yourself a Pop-Tart, a carpet square, and a smile. This is an episode purely of entertainment theory as it pertains to art and for illustrative purposes, also Batman. And talking art and Batman is probably the best use of my time. Looks like we made it. To sleep, perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub, for in that sleep of death what dreams may come. When we have shuffled off this mortal coil, let's give us pause.
You gon' die, dream big or GTFO.
I said it in way less words, but I think they're both equally pretty. Shakespeare and me are like a couple of fingers. Art is only limited by the size of our dreams. Also, mortality is a thing, and it sucks a whole bunch. Back to the Batman tweet. If you didn't see straight up, you might have seen some of the repercussions of it, as my original post was buried in some nightmarish nest of quoted retweets that sparked some real strong opinions from, I wrote this down, sorry again, everywhere. The original intent in flowery language was to get people excited about the idea of not reflexively picking white cis males for characters that are 100% fictional and 100% under our control to cast whomever we want. In the human sense of like, it's art, we can do whatever the funk we want with it. That wasn't the question, that was the intent of the question. Batman is a business. And Batman might be a business, but that business is still an art that will absolutely bend to the will of the consumer. So let's have a civil and substantive discussion about art versus the will of the consumer. I'm saying Batman can be whoever. It's the audience that controls that. If we say Batman can be whoever we want, any studio is going to listen to that. I am attempting to speak artistically. Art is about finding the boundaries, exploring ideas from different perspectives, and taking a chance on ideas that might, in the current climate, seem a little bit outside the norm, which is the perfect time. Janelle Monáe as Batman, outside of the fact that, yeah, that's dope. Wholly from an artistic angle, don't you think that would offer some perspective-rich creative opportunities to tell new kinds of Batman stories from? Ignoring gender pronouns for a moment, I mean literally playing Bruce Wayne. Going into an entirely different gear, even the surprisingly high number of people submitting Kevin James as their pick for Batman, that still offers a perspective. I think Kevin James playing Batman in a new film, it immediately paints a picture of what kind of Batman film that would be. And probably not a great one, but one with a hell of a lot of pratfalls, segues, and screaming so hard that food explodes in your hand. What was I talking about? But it is a perspective. And interestingly enough, Janelle Monáe actually got in on the conversation, though after like 100 people tagged her as Batman, she responded to that tweetacular maelstrom with, "I want to be the Joker." Which is a really good idea. Society is kind of cool in that we get to make our own social rules and boundaries. Batman is only as boxed in as we make it. And tons of people got in on this. Jake Tapper got in on it, and that was probably the reason this all set off in the first place, so one man could tell the world that we don't appreciate Peter Gallagher enough. Hey, the OC don't pay the bills forever, or does it pay the bills forever? I'm not clear on that. Dave Foley got in on it. Kumail Nanjiani just straight up announced out of nowhere he was the next Batman, which is a move I support. Kumail Nanjiani as Batman faces off against Janelle Monáe as the Joker. See how that already paints a picture of what this film could be in your head? It's less of a question of casting from some progressive ideal, and more just trying to find an angle and perspective to tell a cool new story from. Not at all joking, because
Did you see The Big Sick? You should see The Big Sick.
Please allow me to simplify my point as much as possible. I think that Batman is a white male because white males kind of stack the deck against literally everyone else on the planet at that moment in time. I'm going to make my entire point right here and just sort of extrapolate from there. I'm not advocating to take away any of Batman's white male identity. I think that will always be there, especially as the thing that started it. I'm just saying, share your toys, please. Like, what if everyone got to play with the fun stuff? You know? Wouldn't that be good? Yeah? No? I see a hand in the back. This sounds like a super cool Batman movie, unlike, again, sorry, I hate to do this. The last two of them. Let me tell you the two answers that appeared to come up more than others in the thousands upon thousands of replies that I got. A strong showing from John Hamm, and a strong showing from Idris Elba. Neither of which is actually that surprising. John Hamm can John Jam with me anytime. I think he's fantastic, but hear me out for a second. I already see every beat of that movie. We've reached the point in a medium for telling superhero stories in which they start to repeat themselves and drastic things have to start happening, like skipping whole beats in an origin story, because the studio already knows we already know all of this. Why do you suppose that is? And Idris Elba was funny because there was a lot of, he can't do that, he's got to play James Bond, and okay, fair volley. But let's keep in mind that if anyone could do both, it's him. Moving beyond that, a thing people started causing cross-talking shout fights about, the supposed elephant in the room. Batman needs to be white. It's his identity. And I challenge that. His identity is, what's the word? Batman. I'm counting on it. It literally governs every aspect of his life, unlike his whiteness. Friends, what's important about Batman is that he's a violent psychopath that acts on impulses driven by extreme emotions and a crippling lack of self-control, all rolled up into a death wish burrito. You know, his identity. Here's the very bad version of what I mean. I'm not posting the tweets because I don't want to put anyone on blast right now, so I'm going to paraphrase what amounted to quite a few tweets, and this went real wide, so obviously on some level this was going to happen. And there were some people who I honestly believe were 100% not aware of the implications of what they were saying, which does not excuse it. But there were some people who were jumping into a stranger's mentions and correcting people that chose a Batman of any race other than Caucasian because he, quote unquote, has to be a rich white kid. And the implication there is that Bruce Wayne's money, gender identity, and whiteness are intrinsically linked. And if that's still not clear enough, some of you implied that being rich is a trait that implies being white, which sucks. I'm just offering. Be aware of what you think you're saying and it appears that you're saying, especially as it pertains to the racial and social implications that surround it. I don't think I can be any more delicate about it with something I honestly found really, really shitty about this whole thing. So here's another fun hypothetical instead. Batman is a character so ingrained in artistic materials from just the short amount of time he has been a character in the entertainment domain, and by that I mean the sheer volume of materials with Batman in it or on it. Well, he'll exist in 1,000 years. Easy. I mean, if we don't blow ourselves up first off. But what do you think people will be saying about Batman in 1,000 years? Right now, Batman's a spring chicken at 78 years young. Race certainly won't mean the same thing then, if anything at all, in 1,000 years. I mean, what did we think about race in the year, 1000? There's a lot of time for an overly internationally connected people to homogenize. And we don't get a say in that. We'll all be long dead and unable to call these AI-enhanced androgynous turbo-millennials a bunch of SJWs. Got 'em. New generations are free to pick and choose the world they want to live in, something people don't seem to understand. You can't shape your kids' world. They get to. Because again, you're gonna die, and statistically, you much before them. So future generations are gonna have all kinds of Batmans. We don't get a say in that. And I'm making a serious case that Janelle Monáe playing the Joker will get a lot of people talking about these films. Like a lot of people talking from a place of excitement in a way that I don't think Jake Gyllenhaal is going to get you. I love you and respect you, Jake. I'm sorry to bring you into this, okay? You know who played the best Bob Dylan I've ever seen? Cate Blanchett. She came up in a lot of Batman conversations too. A lot for her and Meryl Streep, which, if Batman doesn't work out, I smell a buddy cop movie. Hey, here's another teachable moment. Think of every buddy cop movie starring 2 women you've ever seen. Okay, now put the heat out of your mind and try to think of a second one. I'll wait. If you then thought of the 1988 roaring Rebecca De Mornay FBI comedy Feds, congratulations, you have an amazing memory. No joke, if you Google buddy women cop movie, the 5th result is men and the 7th result is Tango and Cash, which also sucks. Hate to say the word systemic again. But the world is changing and that can be scary in a lot of different ways for all of us. It's okay to be scared to change. That's a perfectly human response, but I am trying to illustrate that not only should we do everything in our power to start seeing things like representation from a more universal perspective, because the goal should be anyone can play anyone. I mean, it's called acting, yeah? By the way, the goal is anyone can play anyone. We aren't anywhere near there yet. Like Johnny Depp should not play any Native Americans for,
Time frame non-terminating.
He played a Native American with a bird on his head, not because that was based on any actual research. Yeah, that's, not great. A logical endpoint to the Batman question is that taking chances there could absolutely heighten the experience of a familiar character in new and interesting ways. Oh, Art, hey, like all the people that suggested Viola Davis's Batman, that gives me actual goosebumps. Let go of knee-jerk reactions for a moment. Imagine first why that's a neat idea instead of reasons why there's a perceived rule preventing it, because it's a neat idea. And let's talk about rules. I'm going to rephrase this in the unfairest way possible and bring this episode of rambling cacophony into a laser focus. You know, the thing I do, the Batman question. Who is allowed to play Batman? Regardless of where we are on Earth, we remain divided by choice. We could simply choose not to believe that Batman has to be a white cis male, which is the moment I hope we all realize that I was never really talking about Batman. I'm talking about everything. Why don't we explore more? Let's say that art is, for argument's sake, just pulling stuff out of the air, the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting, sculpture, or film, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Or if I may edit that googly defined term, art is the exploration of ourselves. Keyword, explore. Let's explore more. I could go on, but I've already sunk in my point whether you love it or hate it. Batman is part of our mythology as humans, all the way back to 1939 when Batman first appeared in Detective Comics number 27. There is a world of talent out there. Why don't we use it? I mean, it's art, right? Just some food for thought as we possibly move into a world with another new film universe Batman in it. So how do you answer the Batman question? I told you this is an important episode, and I'm going to try to get them all. David McIntyre, Matt Hessinger, Alex Podgorski, Robert Mock, Brett Brizzi, Carlo Parator, Sam Bacon. Now I'm going too fast. Nathan Goldberg, Joshua Jameson, Hyun Du Dao, Leah Clark, John Erickson, Austin McKinley. See, I got all kinds of time. I can waste time. I let it catch up a little bit. Damian Eccleton, Brendan Perry, Amy B, Mike Fielding, Adam Muto, Chris Cable, Tracy Jones. I feel like I'm doing an Oscar speech. First, I'd like to thank God. Then I'd like to thank Kevin Kelly, Time Jumper, Lord Hosk, Adam, Billy, Charles, Dan, Fred, take that two first last names, Smith, Christopher Sanders, Ethereal Blah, William Dixon, Brett Medling, Caitlin Vidal, Douglas Doucette, The Criterion Correction Podcast, Benedict the Mad, Michelle Ann Greppo, Scott Gibson. Look at all this free time. I'm going to go to McDonald's with all this free time. Showboating. I should be in the NFL. Stephen Hillman, Tim Arnold, Chris Hianosa, Pat Rothfuss, Tom Lynch, Jaron Hickerty, Thomas McCoy, Victoria Studley, John McGarity, Stephen Lazaro, Brad Leclerc, Vitamin G, Merlin Brittenham, Gurman Sidhu, Jack Anthony, Peyton Carlin, Kendrick, Charles Barker, Waffleopagus, Daniel Lizard, Josh and Kenyatta Klein, Stuart, Jamie, Mike Laidlaw, Lieutenant, Amy Berg. How you doing, Amy? Let's chat. We got all this free time. I'm just going to let your name kind of just... Liam Gallagher, Matt Charles. Hi, Matt. Aaron DeBeery, Glenn White, Brady Altop, Justin Holt, Girish Menon. I've never said all the names before. This is so many names, and this is just the high dollar tier. Joseph Cabo, Dan Kelly, Michael Howie, Tom Sosick, John Heidman, I don't know, like a butt, a something. Aaron Paquette, Terrible Plan, Ethan Fant, Benjamin A. Straub, Henry Kropf, Terry Mesnard, Walter Craigie, Kelly Naylor, Richard Scott. I'm just going to take a breather. Does anybody need anything? Water? Anything? I think we're almost done. Adam Thomas, Trey Warren, Ray Johnson, Patrick Mahoney, Brad Hunziker, Florence Split, Sean Boyce Walrus, James Maston, Joe Shipley, Mark C. Warner, Axel Lehman, Kevin Hochter, Sarah Meaden, Chris Madsen, Nick Grugan and a partridge, probably in a pear tree, Garrett Lathy, Cyclops Boy, Stephen Morton, Jason M. Klug, Jacob Casual, Map, Tim Gordon. That'll do it for us. Holy moly, that was a lot of names. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Please check out my Patreon and see if you want to help make this show happen. Like I said, this is a very special episode, so I thank you guys for watching it. Next up is going to be Wonder Woman, so that's a thing. See y'all next time.